Hello my lovelies, I want to show you today what are my autumn favorite perfumes. Even though as a season, autumn is not necessarily my favorite. You know, when I was younger I used to like autumn so much because it meant for me like a society change, starting of the school year. Now I mostly associate it with not being as sunny and the weather starting to get cold and windy and rainy, which is not my favorite. Contrary to how I feel about autumn in general, autumn perfumes are one of my favorite perfumes, and I have some that I associate just with autumn. Even though some autumn perfumes are very interchangeable with some winter perfumes, I just think that cold weather perfumes could be categorized as just cold weather. Either way, the thing is that for me, there are some perfumes that are ultra specific just for autumn, in which I will specify today which I think are those. We'll just start with, I think the oldest autumn perfume that I have in my collection, which is Jimmy Choo Fever. It's this little, how my sister calls it, grenade bottle. I think it's a very nice bottle. Fever by Jimmy Choo, it's actually warmer. So I have the notes in front of me. The thing is that I'm trying to describe what I feel and how I feel about this perfume. I will start by saying that this is definitely a mix of dark fruits with some vanilla, some tonka, some benzoin. This is a very deep but fruity perfume for me. This reminds me of when it's clearly autumn, but it's that kind of like mid-September or starting October, when like the crops are kind of dying, like the fruit trees are giving like the last remains, plums, of apples, of things like that, and you're just taking them down. So this starts with a very deep plum, but this is very juicy. For me, this is a very juicy and sticky and long-lasting perfume. I think it's pretty long-lasting. So it says it has an opening with plum, lychee, grapefruit. I agree with plum and lychee. Plums are definitely the strongest in this perfume. Plum and benzoin and vanilla. In the middle it has some heliotrope, vanilla, orchid, jasmine, and orange blossom. I agree with the orange blossom. This has a very like, nuanced acidity. It has a nuanced acidity at some point. It's not a sickly sweet sticky. I think the orange blossom and the heliotrope are bringing some acidity into the curve, as well as the sandalwood in the base. This has some hazelnut and sandalwood in the base. I will put a picture. I agree with most of them. Yeah, for me this is like a fiery. I associate this with a mixture of plum, vanilla essence, sugar, some spicy woods, maybe orange blossom, but just like maybe it's the grapefruit, like some citrus acidity just squeezing in, and then you're mixing it a bit on the heat, and then it's done. These are really no specific order. Off with American Cream by Lush. I have a mini version, and I have the mini version for such a while just because I don't know why I adore vanilla perfumes. For me, this is a very difficult vanilla to wear just because this is a cold vanilla. Even though in the notes, when I look at them right now, they do seem like a very sweet, chill notes. I associate perfumes with, of course, colors, feelings, vibes, and I associate them with literally sensorial feelings. This perfume is cold. This is a cold perfume. That's why I'm putting it into autumn, because I feel that autumn has this specific sensorial feel of coldness, you know? I feel like winter perfumes are more warm focused and autumn perfumes are more like cold a bit. This is a very cold vanilla in my opinion. It is technically a gourmand, but in my opinion this is a more aromatic perfume just because it has some sort of spiky astringency to it. No, I think it just has some spiky vibes, and that I think that could be explained because it has lavender, clary sage, and benzoin. I do think that those are bringing literally, if I would be to draw a graph inspired by this perfume, it would be a graph that has like the overall warmth that goes normal, warmth being like given by vanilla absolute, milk, honey. Yeah, these are giving a very nice lactonic vibe, but when you add ingredients like the lavender, the sage, strawberry, orange, these are creating a very cool toned perfume in my opinion. And it's not the kind of lactonic that you're melting into it. It's the kind of lactonic that it's imposing. It's not even that lactonic, it's more aromatic. But yeah, I think this is very nice to wear at specific occasions. I really don't wear this that often. It's really something that, you know, in some days I might just feel for it. and there are just some other days in which I'm really not in the mood for it. But it's definitely a super autumny perfume. Very autumny. Moving on to, let's do another cold perfume. Tilda Swiften Just Like This by ELDO. I have no idea how to pronounce this. This is, in my opinion, the description and how an autumn perfume should smell like. This is an incredibly cold perfume. First of all, I do think that the bottle design is amazing. I just love how they have their sticker with their visual identity on the corner. I think it's very nice. I think the bottle is nicely shaped and it has the 40-degree cut at the bottom, which I think it's a very nice move. The cap, like the lid, is magnetized in a way. It folds perfectly and it's super weighted, which I think it's a beautiful, beautiful detail. As bottle design, I think ELDO are one of my favorites, even though it's super sleek, super simple. Whatever. The smell of the perfume. So they characterize this as being a sweet perfume. I highly disagree. This is a purely aromatic, in my opinion. This is just a fresh aromatic, a tiny bit of fruity, in my opinion. So this, let me explain the memory this brings, because I bought this from a reseller and I bought it without smelling it. This was a blind buy for me. Let me tell you what this brought as a memory. When I was younger, when I was younger, I spent most of the summers at the countryside at my grandparents, and they had a plot of land, as grandparents do, and they had veggies and grains growing on these plots of lands, fair? And they had pumpkins too. And I remember that going to take the pumpkins from the field, like to harvest the pumpkins, was one of the activities that I hated to do the most back on the agricultural field, because you know, like, it wasn't the fact that they were heavy or that I had to put my hands in mud or something. It was literally because the stem of the pumpkin is very spiky. Like, you know how cacti have those super thin needles? There are those ones that look fluffy, but they're actually super thin needles. Yes, that's how pumpkin stems are. And I hate it because, like, I needed to, like, grab the stem too, you know, and it would hurt my hands. This is what this reminds me. This reminds me of that specific moment in which I'm harvesting the pumpkins because I had to, like, cut the stem. This smells like cold pumpkin stem with a bit of citric, some slight citric note in it. But this is mostly the smell of freshly cut pumpkin stem, but make it incredibly cold. Like, this is a cold September day, evening in which I'm doing this, harvesting the pumpkin. Yeah, I wear this on rainy days, on cold days, on foggy days. This for me is the autumn scent because it's so descriptive of it. This is a very photorealistic pumpkin stem scent for me. I'm very curious if anybody has this. What do you think? How do you associate and how do you wear this? Because for me it was so interesting to just smell it directly. Yeah, Fragmatica says that this has pumpkin, immortella, ginger, mandarin, some heliotrope, musk, vetiver, neroli, and rose. I definitely see pumpkin, but pumpkin stem. I see immortella. Immortel? I don't know how to pronounce that. I do see the immortelle note, and I think, and maybe a bit of ginger, but not really. This is not a very spicy perfume to me. This is just a green, cold pumpkin stem. I do like. Moving into something completely different, like completely different. I'm going to move on to Trussardi La Via di Milano, Passeggiata in galleria Vittorio Emanuele 2. That was complicated to say. Passeggiata in galleria Vittorio Emanuele 2. Complicated. Again, I think the bottle design, even though it's a bit kitschy in my opinion with the dog hound's head, I think it's kind of nice. I do love that they have embossed a T from Trussardi in here, which honestly to me it's great because my name is Tony and I feel like it has a T here, haha. And the mister of this is one of the best misters I have, in my opinion. I'm wearing this right now. So for me, this is a very warm, comforting autumn scent. I would associate this with wearing a super cozy cashmere sweater that hugs me perfectly and makes me feel warm and cozy and ready to just chill, drink some hot chocolate, tell stories with friends, have a yap session, you know. This is a very comfortable scent. So for me, I can definitely see that this smells like if you had some kind of hazelnut that are roasted. I would crush them, add some sugar, add some milk, add something tropical in it, like some creamy tropical vibe like coconut milk, and I am adding vanilla and something like woody because it's lasting, and this is how I would say it. And a bit of spice, you know. This is a very intricate hot chocolate for me, but with roasted hazelnuts. I think this is super nice to wear. This is not the warmest perfume I have, but this is decently warm, and I think this is, I know this is going to get super annoying because we're not talking about temperatures perfumes, but I associate it with temperature. This is a very autumn, perfect temperature autumn for me as in perfume. It's a great. I think it's super comfortable. It's very nice. It doesn't last that long, which I think it's great and comfortable. And as a textile, I would pair this greatly with cashmere, as I said. The next one is one of my favorite perfumes for such a long time. Tendre Madeleine by Scenteurs Gourmandes. I have no words for this. I think this is a favorite, a community favorite. I know that this has been discontinued, which is super sad. This smells literally like a Madeleine. It smells exactly like the Madeleine you eat. I need to cleanse my palate. And this smells literally like a vanilla bakery, like something you bake that has vanilla and almonds and sugar and a bit of lemon zest. On Fragnatica, this says that it has vanilla, sugar, Mexican vanilla, orange, spicy note, bitter almond, and wheat. I do feel the wheat, and I think it's amazing. It's incredible. And for autumn, this is, I think, one of the warmest perfumes I have, and one of the longest lasting perfumes for autumn that I have. This is incredibly comfortable and comforting. Incredibly comforting for autumn, and it just makes me feel incredibly delectable. This is, I think, this is, in my opinion, the most gourmand perfume for autumn that I have, because it's incredibly sweet, but it's a light, leisure sweet, you know, because it has that citrus that just makes everything work. I think this is one of my most worn autumn perfumes ever, and it's a favorite. It's a shame that you cannot find it anymore. I mean, I'm sure you can find it somewhere, but I don't know where. I found a dupe, but I will talk about that in another video. And the last perfume, well, basically scent, because it's a body splash body spray, is Sticky Date from Lush, which, yes, I know what you might think. Tony, isn't that the most winter scent that everybody recommends from Lush? I think this is autumn because, yes, while the notes are very wintry, this doesn't last on my skin. This lasts max 2-3 hours. And I cannot carry this. I mean, yes, I decanted it, but still. This is very caramel, very sticky sweet. It's literally Sticky Date. This reminds me of, you know, there's that dessert that you just have dates that are filled with peanut butter and then you cover them in dark chocolate. That's exactly how this smells for me. It's great. I love it. Like, I adore this. This is super caramelly for me. It has, for me, it's a caramel and date and a bit of chocolate, but just like the thought of chocolate, not actual chocolate. This is great. It has, like, for me, it's like the caramel. Fragnatica doesn't mention. For me, it's more like a salted caramel. Yeah. I think this is great. I did decant this, and I decanted it like a small one so I could just puff, like, spray it on myself whenever I want and just carry it. But yeah, this is an autumn perfume for me, just due to the fact that it doesn't last that long. But yeah, the notes, I feel like this is one of the most interchangeable winter autumn perfumes that I have. Yeah, and that was it. Thank you for listening to my small collection of purely autumn perfumes that I have and that I mostly wear during the colder season. Not the coldest, the colder. Please let me know what recommendations do you have, especially for colder perfumes. Like, I really want something that brings me into a story, into a theatrical story like ELDO. Please recommend. What are cold perfumes that you have, you might know? I'm open to mostly anything, honestly. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.